नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे कृष्ण कृष्णाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत स्वामिनिधि नामिने श्री पार्श्वभानवी देवी प्रायथाय कृपाधये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान रायिणे प्रभवे नमः माधुर्य श्री भक्तिदा श्री गौरा करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्ते नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्री मूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुगाय रूपाप सिद्धांत ध्वंतधारिणे नमो गौरकिशोराय संसारवैराग्यमूर्तये आदाम्बोजायते नमः नमो भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानन्दनामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगायते गौरविर्भावभूमिस्त्वं कीर्तिष्ठ सज्जनप्रिया वैष्णवा सार्वभौमश्री जगन्नाथायते नमः वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो महावरण्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नाम्ने गौरतिसे नमः पंचतत्त्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूपास्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्तशक्तिकम् हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते जगतां सुरभाव भंगो मम मंदगति मत्सर्वस्वापनामोचो राधा मदन मोहन कल्पद्रुमधा श्रीमान रत्नाकर सिंहासनस्था श्री श्री राधा श्री गोविंद देव श्रीमान रासरसारंगी वंशीवथा तथास्थिता हर्षंगेनु स्मयायो गोपीनाथा श्रीयेस्तुनः तप्त कंचन करुणांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I am sincerely grateful, honored, and very happy to be with all of you today. Especially to be with my dear godbrother Shiksha Guru and best friend Niranjana Swami. And very, very inspiration carrying and all of you. At the commencement of the taking of vows and giving initiations, Srila Prabhupada would have us recite this particular auspicious invocation. Om Pavitra Pavitro Va Sarvavastam Gato Viva Yasmare Pundarikaksham Sabhayabhyantara Suchi. Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu, Shri Vishnu. Srila Prabhupada would have us chant this mantra as we perform the Achman, which is a traditional process of purification. And the very heart of this mantra is the very purpose of initiation and life itself. Purification. Whether one is pure or impure, or even having passed through all situations of life, one who remembers the beautiful lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead is purified within and without. Is there a place for the children to make noise happily?
Downstairs. Well, the parents and the little children, they go downstairs.
The name of Krishna is Pavitra, which means he is supremely pure. And in whatever way we connect with Krishna, we become purified. Krishna has descended into this world in the form of the deity, within the hearts of the devotees, within the sound vibration of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, within the service, bhakti that we offer to him, and especially in his holy names. Kali Kale Namarupe Krishna Avatar. In this age of Kali, Krishna has especially descended with his whole potencies in his holy names. In Gita, Krishna tells Ye Jitaram Prapadyante Namastathai Bhavajayo. According to how we take shelter, how we surrender, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. And similarly, according to how we approach God in his holy names, that is how we will be purified as we're chanting the holy names. Every aspect of life, every moment of life, we are urged to orient in such a way that we become further purified. Durlabhamana Vachanma Lokya Sansare. This human life is very rare. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he described to Srila Sanatana Goswami that pure devotional service is the rarest thing in life. To associate with the devotees of the Lord requires generally millions and millions of births. Nothing more precious than the association of devotees. Because by hearing, by chanting and serving in such association, we naturally become attached to pleasing Krishna. Samsidhya Haritosha. When Krishna is pleased by the sincerity of our efforts, Krishna reveals himself. Pure devotional service is the rarest of all treasures of life. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu declared pure devotional service to be the Purushartha Siromani, the crest jewel of all goals, the ultimate wealth. And Krishna easily gives it when a person is sincere, serious, and serves without ulterior motives. Yesterday I was in the Upper West Side of New York City, Manhattan, and our dear friend, brother, Kaustuba Prabhu, he brought me to the doorway that Srila Prabhupada first went in to enter Dr. Mishra's yoga studio. Actually, not his yoga studio, his home. In Manhattan, that's the first place Srila Prabhupada entered. And as we were there, I was told that yesterday was the 58th anniversary of when Srila Prabhupada entered into that apartment building. October 18th, 1965. So today's second day. What Srila Prabhupada endured is so deeply appreciated when we studied those beginning days of his fulfilling the instruction of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in New York City. He was sharing a little apartment with somebody he never met before until that day. He was only there for a week or two, and he was moved into a little one room with no window as part of a yoga studio. Everything was taken from him, he was robbed. And then he moved down into a small apartment in the same building. He had nothing and no one. In his diary, in so many letters he wrote, he was trying to get a small temple in Manhattan. And he had the building. And there was somebody in India, the Singhania family, who actually offered to help to pay for the building. For several months, Srila Prabhupada was trying to somehow or other get the Indian government to agree to release that money into foreign currency. He was writing to God brothers, he was writing to friends, he was writing to politicians, but nobody could help him. And Srila Prabhupada wrote in his diary, he even asked the owner of the building, just give me the building for now and you could be a trustee and you could help me in charge. But nothing worked. Srila Prabhupada expressed how he was so heartbroken, and he used the word mortified that he lost that building. He wanted to make it a temple for Radha and Krishna. Just a 2-story building. Yesterday when I stood in front of that building with some friends, very simple. If we see the types of temples and ashrams and properties that ISKCON has today, it's quite inconceivable to think how he struggled for months and months and failed. He had no followers at that time. But he had complete faith in the holy names of Krishna. He had complete faith in devotional service to Krishna. He had complete faith and profound realization that anyone who takes to this path that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us will become purified. And through that purification, Krishna reveals himself. Sri Radharani blesses our souls. And Prema Pumarta Mahan, the goal of life of pure unalloyed love for Krishna, is bestowed upon us by Krishna. That is what initiation is for. We come together in the presence of our gurus, of our beloved founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, in the presence of the assembly of Vaishnavas. Each Vaishnava within their hearts, the altar of Krishna is shining before the deities, the sacred fire, to commit ourselves. When we study the lives of all of the great Vaishnava saints, acharyas, when we read about them in the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, we find unconditional commitment. Why didn't Krishna give Srila Prabhupada a round-trip airplane ticket on Air India? Why 38 days on a cargo ship? Why 1 month living a YMCA hotel in Butler, Pennsylvania? Why sending him to New York City? Srila Prabhupada said in several lectures, I was wandering aimlessly like a vagabond. I had nothing and no one. Why would Krishna do that? And Srila Prabhupada, his surrender to Krishna, in whatever Krishna gave or didn't give, was a personification of his commitment. His commitment to his Guru Maharaj's instruction, his commitment to be an instrument of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda Prabhu's compassion. We cannot imitate. It is so extreme, so extraordinary, and so historical. But Mahajano Yena Gatasavanta. Krishna makes himself known only to those who follow in the footsteps of the great souls. The ceremony itself is not what will give us entrance into higher realms of spiritual advancement. It is our commitment to follow the process, to follow in the footsteps of the great souls. That is the path. And the ceremony is a most sacred tradition to emphasize and give us an experience of how important and how holy this commitment really is. This commitment, this dedication, this willingness to serve. Is what is the true blessing of life. And how we receive that blessing will be determined by our willingness to live with that commitment. Nam Namakari Bahutani Sarva Shaktis Tatrapitanyamita Smaranena. Mahaprabhu prayed that Krishna, you have appeared in your holy names. You have many names, and in each of these names you have invested your full potencies. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada would say that in Krishna's name, Krishna will reveal his form, his eternal form in the spiritual world, his pastimes, his abode, his associates, and our own eternal relationship with Krishna. Vinadapi Sunichena Taror Ivasishna Amani Namana Dena Kirtaniya Sada. This is very much inseparable from the commitment of our vows. To strive, to aspire for that state where we are more unreservedly, more tolerant, forgiving, eager to offer all respect to others and expect none in return. In such a state, we can chant the holy names of the Lord constantly. We can only chant the names of the Lord constantly when Param Dristvani Vartate, when we have a higher taste, when actually we're experiencing Radha and Krishna in their names. And that is not something that happens mechanically. It happens by Krishna's own sweet will, by Radharani's own grace. And that grace is bestowed upon us, whoever we are, whatever we've done in the past, wherever we're from. Unconditional, that grace is bestowed upon us. But we actually understand the true meaning of humility, tolerance, respect, and commit ourselves to a life of service. Everyone is looking for happiness. We see in the world today how totally crazy and deranged people can become in pursuit of happiness. Criticizing, inflicting miseries on others in pursuit of happiness. We want to be controllers. We want to be enjoyers. We want to be lords. But as we actually understand Krishna, we lose all taste for these egoistic pursuits. Because we're happy that Krishna is the Lord. And we're happy that Srimati Radha is Madan Mohan Mohini. She's controlling Krishna, and Krishna's controlling everything within existence. And their love is our joy. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained real happiness. Gopi Bhartur Padakamalayur Das 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 Anudas. To be a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord of the Gopis. When Srila Prabhupada instructed us to regularly study his books and discuss them with one another, it's not only to learn so we can speak, but it's also very especially to keep our direction in life always toward not looking for happiness outside of pleasing God. Because actually there is no other happiness for the soul. All other so-called forms of happiness complicate us in the perplexities of material miseries. When Srila Prabhupada moved to 22nd Avenue, and he had a few people who actually became his followers. Srila Prabhupada would send them out to the streets, and they had a simple formula to give people. They would say, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Have you heard that before? Because everybody around is looking for happiness. But we have forgotten that happiness that the soul, the true self, is yearning, longing for. By chanting Hare Krishna, according to these instructions, by committing our lives in such a way that we are sincerely, earnestly dedicated to being a servant of the servant of our Gurus and Krishna. That is the true path of happiness. Yoginam api sarvesham adkitena dhara Shravan bhajate yomam sameyuttatamamrata. Krishna concludes the chapter on yoga, Astanga Yoga. Of all yogis, one who abides in me with great faith, one who worships me, who serves me with devotion, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest. That's the matchless gift Srila Prabhupada, when he prayed to Krishna, "You're insignificant beggar." That is how Srila Prabhupada addressed himself before the Lord in his Jaladuta prayers. "You're insignificant beggar, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami." And he went person to person, place to place, begging us to accept the path of real happiness, to commit ourselves to receiving mercy through that commitment, and by sharing it with others, by becoming insignificant beggars on behalf of Srila Prabhupada, our Gurus and Krishna. That's how we chant, that's how we preach, that's our life. It is this spirit that have come together today. For first initiation, for second initiation. And we are so grateful. Actually, this initiation was supposed to be in New York City, but less than 2 weeks ago, His Holiness Niranjana Swami Maharaj came to New York, and we met. We spent a half day together, and we decided, just for the sake of being together, we had to find some good excuse. So this was the perfect excuse. Let's do an initiation together. That way it's really difficult for us to get to change our minds. From my side, we were all supposed to be initiated in New York, but we're doing it here just so that Niranjana Maharaj and myself could just share with you together our love and appreciation for you, for the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. Niranjana Maharaj is such a brilliant, shining light of this humble, sincere commitment, dedication, and devotion to receive Srila Prabhupada's compassion and to share it with the world. So I'm very honored. He ordered me to speak first, so I did. But more or less, I'm speaking with the motive of introducing His Holiness Niranjana Swami. Thank you very much.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Silakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Gangayate Girim Yat Pipatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Vinitarinam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Utale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Vicharini Nirvishesha Shanyavani Pastya Chandri Satarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Krishna Krishna
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Radhanatha Maharaj, for speaking on the topic of initiation. Began by saying that the commencement of this initiation is the devotee's acceptance of vows. You spoke about commitment. You spoke about Srila Prabhupada's commitment in service to the order of his spiritual master, the sacrifices he made, which were demonstration of his compassion for all of us and his devotion to the words and firm faith in the order of his Guru Maharaj, the austerities and difficulties he had to undergo in establishing his movement, and whatever I hear narrations of the early days of Srila Prabhupada's efforts, and I deeply contemplate the sacrifices he made for all of us. It overwhelms me, because there's no question that Prabhupada's motive was pure. There was no tinge of selfishness in his heart, and he established the standard, he set the bar, so to speak, for something for us, all of us, to aspire for in our efforts to serve him. And of course, we should never think that we can come up to the same standard of purity and devotion. We always think ourselves as his humble servant, and anything that we do or any fruit that may manifest by our efforts is only due to his blessing and his desire. The devotee should always be conscious of his subordinate position to the superior order, and that's what Srila Prabhupada taught by his example, how he was always conscious of his position of the superior order that was given to him, never thinking himself, the doer never becoming proud of the results that were manifesting, and always thinking himself an instrument to the higher order, and always giving credit. There's a certain sense of purity there that really sets the bar for ourselves as his followers and for many generations to come of what he expected his Krishna consciousness movement to establish in this world and beyond. And oftentimes we'll quote a verse from the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which encourages me, and I'll explain why it encourages me. But it speaks about pure devotional service. That pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is so transcendently potent that simply by hearing about it, simply by glorifying it in response, simply by meditating on it, simply by faithfully and respectfully accepting that it exists. In other words, I know it's not in my heart. I know I'm filled with so many desires and shortcomings and attachments. But just by faithfully and respectfully existing that it exists, which is listed as one of the criteria of this verse, and simply by praising the service of others, that even a person who is envious of all the demigods and all living entities in the universe can immediately become purified. Such is the power of pure devotional service. Lord Chaitanya, in his conversation with Ramananda Roy, when verse is quoted that pure devotional service, of course, cannot be attained even by millions of births of pious activities. It can be attained only by those who have an intense greed to obtain it. And wherever one sees it, you should immediately purchase it without delay. We talk about pure devotional service, and sometimes I've observed that devotees, when they hear these topics, they sometimes, instead of feeling inspired, they feel discouraged. They think that to talk about pure devotees and their pure devotion is these are just rare souls who are names are mentioned on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita, and they're all exceptions. And how can I relate to these exceptional souls, and to think that I can in any way achieve the kind of mercy they obtain from Krishna as they achieved. And but nonetheless, this verse that I quoted in the Bhagavatam gives us hope that if I don't hear about them, if I don't repeat what I've heard about them, if I don't meditate on pure devotional service, if I don't faithfully and respectfully accept that pure devotion exists, and if I see it somewhere, if I see even devotion, if I don't praise it, glorify it, then what hope is there for me to actually become pure? Because even a person who hates all living entities in the universe and is envious of all living entities and the demigods, they can become purified. So actually a sadhaka is somebody who's aspiring for purification. He always thinks that I have a lot of attachments that need to be overcome, but I have hope. If we don't have hope, there's really, one loses his incentive. In fact, last night I was asked to give a talk. What was the topic you gave me, Padamali?
Positivity.
Yeah, positivity. No, transforming apathy to motivation, enthusiasm. That's right. Trying to remember exactly what it was. And we were talking, as part of that presentation, was about the need to have hope for enthusiasm and for motivation. If we lose hope, we can become apathetic. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes in one of his essays in Sri Bhakti Loka that apathy or indifference leads to inactivity, inertia. If there's no enthusiasm, if I'm indifferent and apathetic towards spiritual life, then how can I move forward? But if we have hope, and hope, of course, is by hearing such narrations as Radhanatha Maharaj has spoken about, giving us examples of Srila Prabhupada and pure devotion. The hope is that if somehow I can hear him and somehow dedicate myself to these topics of pure devotion, and if there's something about it that really inspires me or encourages me, or I think is relevant, not only to myself, but somebody else may like to hear about it, then I'll repeat it. I'll tell somebody else about it. I'll think about it from time to time. As we should all be doing as sadhakas, we should be thinking about how nice it would be to become pure in heart. And we should be thinking about how nice it would be to become more detached from all that is the cause of so much of our own suffering. And when we try to become detached to our suffering without this simultaneous effort to become attached to Krishna and His service, it's very difficult. Because without that mercy, without Krishna's mercy, it's very difficult to become detached. In fact, the more we try to become detached, sometimes we find ourselves becoming increasingly entangled. Because it's just the other side of us the other side of a coin. Attachment, detachment. Well, we should actually be aspiring to become attached to Krishna. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janagyasu Vairagyam Gyanam Chiyadahaitukam. To the degree that we render devotional service to Krishna, then it will automatically bring knowledge and detachment in our hearts. So, Prabhupada's devotion, certainly, as I said, is such an overwhelming source of encouragement and inspiration, and to hear about it, the difficulties he had to undergo and he had to endure, and to meditate on his standard of devotion, of not wasting a moment of his time, always to be engaged in Krishna's service. To think about how he utilized his time so wisely, so taking rest and rising so early in the morning, translating his books, and rising at midnight, and then what he did is his daily activities every day, and how he was just always so fixed on fulfilling this order of his spiritual master, fixed on giving Krishna consciousness to others. So we meditate on these things, and by meditating on it, it gives us faith to accept that, yes, it does exist, and it's not something that's ephemeral, not something that's elusive and unattainable, but if we follow in the footsteps of our previous acharyas and be always conscious of our subordinate position to the higher order, then I oftentimes take shelter of a verse, commentary, especially Prabhupada's commentary, in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he describes Lord Brahma's prayers for creative potency. Lord Brahma was praying that he may be able to be conscious and executing his duties without becoming attached to them. And Prabhupada said, as fortunate as that person who's been entrusted with responsible work. Says he's very fortunate. Somebody has given him some instruction and some order. He says, and if he's always conscious of his subordinate position to the Supreme Lord in the execution of his responsible work, then even if the result externally doesn't appear to be something that's so fantastic, the result may not appear to be something as substantial and significant. But if he's conscious that I'm subordinate to the higher order, he won't give up. He'll continue to make the effort. Continue to make the effort. Because that, Prabhupada says, that's what makes the activity itself favorable, and it produces the good result. The good result is I'm conscious that I'm subordinate to Krishna. And he says, sometimes it may be seen that even in the execution of one's duties, that externally a good result, a result may appear to be very nice. And Prabhupada says, but if one is not conscious that the result is manifest as being executor of the higher order, then although externally it may appear nice, it's not done very nicely. So it's a tall order. It's a standard that Prabhupada set. He taught us how to serve with great determination, undergoing great obstacles, and he taught us that how to win the mercy of the Lord, which is really what we're aspiring for, because we know without mercy, do I think I can be successful myself without mercy? Am I so foolish to think that I'm doing this and I'm successful? And even in my own advancement in Krishna consciousness comes only as a result of mercy. And this makes me think of a commentary. It's the month of Kartik. I might as well speak a little bit about this because it has to do with Mother Jasoda and Krishna, and how Mother Jasoda got Krishna's mercy. And she got Krishna's mercy by her hard labor. And as we all know, that the word that's used, parishrama means hard labor. We know that Mother Jasoda, she had a particular desire, as in her motherly affection, she wanted to punish her son due to his misbehavior. And she thought it would be appropriate to stop him from his mischief by tying him up so that he could no longer engage in his mischievous activities. And therefore she attempted to tie him with rope. And we all know the story, I won't go into the detail. We do know that Mother Jasoda was trying so very hard, taking one rope after the next, tying each rope, and each time the rope was always 2 fingers too short. But she was determined, and although the other cowherd women were nearby watching her in her efforts to tie her son's waist, Mother Jasoda, she asked the gopis, I need your help. Can you all go back and get some ropes for me? And so and the gopis would tell her, Jasoda, why, can't you see that your son is not going to be tied? And Mother Jasoda said, I just want to see the extent of my son's waist. Please, everybody go and bring some rope and help. So the gopis, of course, they returned home and they brought their ropes. And Jasoda, one after the next, after the next, after the next, tied all the ropes. And every time she tied another rope, it's 2 fingers too short. And our acharyas explained that the manifestation of this pastime of the rope always being too short was due to the fact that Krishna's potencies manifested to fulfill his desire. One of the potencies that manifested was called Vibhuti Shakti. Vibhuti Shakti is that potency which displays something very fantastic, almost amazing, which defies the laws of material nature. And this Vibhuti Shakti manifested because as much as Yasoda tried to tie rope after rope after rope, the rope was always 2 fingers too short. You try it and see if you can see such a result by tying something up and see if the rope is always 2 fingers too short, no matter how many. It's quite amazing when you think about it. But it happened. And I made a mistake. I wore this watch. It's ringing, even though I turned the sound off on my phone. Now my watch is ringing. Excuse me. And so 2 potencies manifest. One was the Vibhuti Shakti, the other was Satya Sankalpa Shakti. The Satya Sankalpa Shakti is Krishna's potency, which fulfills all his desires. And Krishna, one desire he had is he wanted to play with his friends. He didn't want to be tied up. So that was one reason why the rope was always 2 fingers too short, because he was thinking, although my mother is making so much effort, I want to play and I don't want to be tied up. My friends are waiting, I want to go play. So Satya Sankalpa Shakti came also. They both manifested at the same time, because Krishna's potencies work very perfectly according to his will. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains, though, however, sometimes it is seen that in the competition between the devotee and the Lord, because sometimes there's competition between the devotee and the Lord, we see that the devotee's will prevails and defeats the Lord. So we know this is one of the characteristics of pure devotional service, that Krishna willingly becomes subordinate to the devotee and allows himself to be defeated. But what allowed Krishna to be defeated by Mother Jasoda's hard labor? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains that what allowed him to be defeated is he was looking at his mother, seeing how hard she was laboring to tie him up, seeing the perspiration on her face, seeing that the desire that so much that she had in her motherly affection, her Vatsalya Ras. A mother wants to take the position of responsibility. I need to discipline my child. And because she thinks this way, I want to discipline him. And she even told all the other gopis, I'm going to tie him up, but I want to see, I may not tie him up, but I want to see the extent of his waist. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that sometimes it is seen between the competition between the devotee and the Lord, and the devotee will prevails and defeats the Lord. And what happened is that Krishna's heart melted when he was looking at his mother. Kripa Shakti manifested, another one of the potencies of Krishna's. This is mercy potency. His heart melted, it became so soft that when this Kripa Shakti manifested and his heart melted, then Yasoda was able to defeat Krishna as a result of 2 other qualities which are manifest. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains Bhakta Nishta and Svanishta. The Bhakta Nishta is, Nishta means conviction. Bhakta Nishta. Yasoda's conviction was so strong And when Bhakti Nishta manifested, and Svanishta. Svanishta is Krishna's own conviction. Krishna's own conviction that he establishes to be the supreme principle that will always uphold and defeat all other qualities of his qualities. It's the emperor of all Krishna's qualities, which is Bhaktavatsalya. The emperor of all of his qualities is that Krishna allows himself to become subordinate to those devotees who display determination and desire and love in their service to him. His heart melts to see what they're undergoing, the difficulties they're undergoing for his pleasure, for his service. And Vipa Shakti manifests. So Svanishta means Krishna will always reciprocate with such devotees who have such determination in their efforts to please the Lord. And it is the one quality that Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains as the emperor of all of his qualities, which reconciles all contradictions in his behavior. If you see something contradictory in Krishna's behavior, you should know that the underlying principle is because as Bhaktavatsalya, he's doing something. Even though he's the Supreme Lord, even though he's the Supreme Controller, even though his will always prevails, how is it that he's defeated? Why? How is it he's defeated? He's defeated because the devotees desire to serve him, to please him. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says, when these two characteristics, this Bhakti-nishta and Svanishta, manifested, then what happened was Satya Sankalpa Shakti and Vibhuti Shakti, they just left. They weren't there anymore. Although they were both assisting him, preventing Yasoda from tying him, when by the power of Yasoda's love and by Krishna's mercy that he had to those who demonstrated their love, by their hard labor and willingness to undergo any difficulties they have to undergo in order to please the Lord, then Krishna is defeated by love. So we hear how wonderful Krishna is, and we hear how inclined he is to reciprocate with his devotees, and then we can see, we hear about this, not so such a distant past, what Krishna did for Prabhupada because of his parishrama, because of his hard labor, his relentless determination to give Krishna to others. And it's not such distant past. He set the bar for all of us, at least to have hope that I may not be so determined. I may not be so dedicated in my service. I may have so many attachments. But the Bhagavatam says that if we simply hear about their activities, and if we simply tell others about it, if we simply meditate on their activities, and we have faith that, yeah, I'm not there, but I know it exists, so why not continue to hear about it? I have faith that it exists. If it didn't exist, then what hope would any of us have sitting here today? What would be the purpose of this yajna today if any of us, or all of us, were thinking it doesn't exist, pure devotion? It must exist. It must. The evidence is there. Not only in the life of Srila Prabhupada, but in the life of Srila Prabhupada's followers, who are so dedicated to serving him, who have so much love for him, who are ready to make any kind of sacrifice for him, who are ready to keep this movement together with blood, sweat, and tears. For him. It must be something manifest. There must be something there to help us keep that hope that maybe someday I can become pure. Someday. Initiation means that hope exists. As Prabhupada said when he talked about in the story of Magari the hunter. Right? Magari, he didn't have hope. He didn't know anything what hope was before. But when Narada Muni told him, break your bow. Break my bow? But I maintain myself by breaking, by this livelihood. How can I break my bow? Narada Muni said, don't worry, I'll take care of it. Break your bow. So Magari broke his bow. And Prabhupada says in the commentary, this is initiation. This is initiation. I'm giving up my connection with all my bodily identification, and I'm placing my faith in the words of my spiritual master. Placing my faith in his example, and placing everything at his lotus feet, and giving my life to him. This is initiation. Srila Prabhupada is so kind that he's allowing all of us to serve him in this way. And Radhanatha Maharaj is so kind that he's inspiring me to speak on a topic which I have no qualification to speak on. Just by his presence. He said I was a Siksha Guru. I know better. Come on. It's a joke. I'm not a Siksha Guru. But he's my friend. And without this friendship, I don't know how I would survive. I need friends in Krishna consciousness. Rupa Goswami talks about it in Upadesha Brita that there has to be loving relationships. Dadati pati grinati guyama yati prichtati. If there's no loving relationships in Krishna consciousness, how to survive in this movement without loving relationships with devotees? So he's very kind to me. He's my Siksha Guru. And he's just simply overlooking everything to try to encourage me in my service to Srila Prabhupada and my service to him as a very dearly beloved godbrother. And I think we should go on with our initiation now. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. That's what I wanted to speak to. Well, we can't say anything. Can start. No. I can watch me to start. Oh, wait a minute. No. Is there a trick here? Okay. Okay. Are we moving into the next stage? Right, yes? Okay. So, I'm going to call both devotees to come together because they're husband and wife. So, we're going to ask Prashant and Shruti to please come and to accept their vows. And so, can you please tell me what vows you're accepting today?
We are accepting the vows of no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and no intoxication.
And
And chanting 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds every day.
Shruti?
Krishna Maharaj vows we are taking today is no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no illicit sex, and chanting 16 rounds every day.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. All right. Here's your feedback. Back. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada and the Guru Parampara, I'm accepting you today as my initiated disciple. And your new name is, excuse me, I can untangle this piece for you. Your new name is Parama Sundara Das. Parama Sundara is a name for Krishna, who is most beautiful. Here, I've got links just printed out so you have to do this sometimes. People, I give them a name and I find out they're being called something completely different. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada and Guru Parampara, I'm accepting you today as my initiated disciple. And we're giving you a name of Gopi, most possesses all good qualities, who's none other, of course, Radharani. And your new name is Sulakshana Gopi Devidasi. That's it. All right.
We'll call up first Sandeep Gaur. Sandeep.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for accepting me as your disciple. I vow to follow the four regulated principles: no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, no intoxication. I am chanting 60 rounds every day, and I follow the principles of Srila Prabhupada. I will serve his servant and all Vaishnavas in a humble mood of servant as a servant as a servant.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada and our Guru Parampara, I am honored to give you the name Sundar Gauranga Das.
Sundar Garanga Prabhu ke! Next we have Sika Gaur. And after Sika will be Somya. After Sika will be Somya.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for explaining and what is happened. Today I do like to take the boat to stand every 16 rounds every day. Take a boat to all regular to people going meeting, going to success, go gambling and no intoxication.
Longest remain servant of the servant.
I take the boat to always, but all Vaishnavas and the Srila Prabhupada. Let's see in the mood of servant of servant.
Thank you very much. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada and our disciplic succession. Very happy to offer the name Shobha Gaurangi Devi Dasi.
Shobha Garangi Devi ki!
Shobha Gaurangi.
Shobha Garangi Devi ki! We have Somya, and after Somya will be Omkar.
I take vow of chanting 16 rounds every day and follow 4 regulative principles of no people, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. And serve the mission of Srila Prabhupada, the mode of serve, the mode of serve, and the serve, and the serve.
People. On behalf of Srila Prabhupada, Guru Paripurna, we offer you the name Shri Devi Priya Devi Dasi.
Shri Devi Priya Devi ki! Omkar now, followed by Rishikesh. Congratulations.
Krishna Maharaj, I take the vow of chanting minimum 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra on beats every day, and I take the vow of following 4 regulative principles: no meditating, no gambling, no illicit sex, and no intoxication. I also take the vow of serving Srila Prabhupada's mission and being the mode of servant of servant. Thank you.
Thank you. Srila Prabhupada's behalf and our Guru Paripurna, we offer you the name Pitambar Govinda Das.
Govinda Prabhu ke! Last of the first initiates, we have Rishikesh.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, and please accept my humble obeisances. Lord Guru Shri Prabhupada. I just today I take a vow that I will chant at least 16 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day, and I follow 4 everyday principles as no meditating, no gambling, no illicit sex, no intoxication. I will serve in the mission of Srila Prabhupada as a humble servant of servant. Thank you. Thanks for listening.
Thank you very much. We are honored to give you the name Rishikesh Gopal Das.
Rishikesh Gopal Prabhu Ke! So we'll call the second initiates. And you can you can stay where you are and we'll just celebrate you. First is Nandini Priya Devi. You can stand. Nandini Priya Devi K. We have Ram Mohan Prabhu. Ram Mohan Prabhu K. We have Risheshwar Prabhu. Risheshwar Prabhu K. We have Brajeshwari Priya Devi. Brajeshwari Priya Devi K. We have Ram Chand Prabhu. Ram Chand Prabhu K. We have Seva Nandini Devi. Seva Nandini Devi K. We have Raja Nandini Devi. Raja Nandini Devi K. We have Madhava Kanta Prabhu. Madhava Kanta Prabhu K. We have Raga Sindhu Prabhu. Raga Sindhu Prabhu K. And we have Damodar Charan Prabhu. Damodar Charan Prabhu K. I don't have the name.
All right.
Janavarani Devi for Niranjana Swami. Rani Devi K.